Hi, I'm Sean Dodge, and this is the class of 2015, and our senior project is we're going to make a hot rod engine out of this Ford Windsor 351.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I will be pointing out the cylinder block of the 351 Windsor. I will be taking off the glaze of the cylinder walls, and this will allow for the piston rings to seat. I'm going to begin with lubricating the cylinder. I'm just going to spray it, and then I'm going to use the cylinder hone, and I'm going to 4 minutes clockwise and then 4 minutes counterclockwise. Now I'm going to do it 4 minutes in reverse. Now you can see the difference between the two cylinders. There is no glaze in this one, and this one is very shiny and glazy.
Hello, my name is David Russo. Today I'm going to be measuring our senior project. It is a Ford 351 cubic inch Windsor V8. We have actually discovered this motor has been bored 60 thousandths over the original specs, so it is now 4 and 60 thousandths. I'm going to be using this cylinder bore gauge to measure the cylinder for out of round and taper. We're going to measure on 2 planes as well as in 3 different spots in the cylinder. We're measuring the top, the middle, and the bottom of the cylinder for taper. Start at the top here. We're going to slightly rock this back and forth so we can find the highest point, which is going to be about 4 and 62 thousandths. This cylinder is slightly worn from use, so it's going to be slightly larger than specs. As we are seeing here, the cylinder is not too badly worn, measuring about all the way down to the 4 and 62 thousandths. And this cylinder and this engine does not have any taper. It is even all the way down, which is good for performance.
Hi, I'm Damon Krause, Doctor of Motors, and today we're going to be measuring the cubic capacity for a 351 Ford Windsor that is not actually a 351 Ford Windsor. My friend David over here discovered that when he was measuring out the bores. Alright, so the way that we are going to measure the cubic capacity for a 351 Ford Windsor that is not actually a 351 Ford Windsor is by using the formula for displacement. The best way to start this off is by looking for the cylinder volume, which is this section of the formula right here. The way we're going to do that is we're going to take the bore squared times pi divided by 4, and then we're going to multiply that times stroke. So to make it easier, I just divided pi by 4. I took the bore, squared it, and then multiplied it times the stroke, which is 3.5. And that gave us 45.31166, which simplifies down to 45.312 inches squared. So now, or cubed. Now that we have the cylinder volume, all you have to do is multiply that times the number of cylinders, in this case, 8 cylinders. So when you multiply that times 8, you have 362.496, which simplifies again down to a 362.
The entire class was involved in calculating this formula.
Hi, I'm Paulo Pereira.
And I'm Ryan Getzinger.
And today we're here to inspect the engine block of our 351 Windsor hot rod project. And the engine block is like a foundation of a house. And if everything is not built straight and level, all the parts that we build on top of this will not work correctly.
This is our 351 Windsor engine block, and the first thing we're going to be checking is our crankshaft main bearing alignment with our straight edge and our feeler gauge. What you're going to do is put the straight edge right in the housing for the bearings. Take your feeler gauge and just see if it'll go underneath the straight edge. This engine block has the right specifications.
Now we're going to be checking the deck to see if it's level, and how you do that is by placing a straight edge on top of the deck and seeing if the feeler gauge will go in between the deck and the straight edge. And right now it hasn't. And you check that 3 times, one horizontally and the other diagonally, and then the other the opposite way diagonally. This deck is to the right specifications.
The next thing we're going to do is take our crankshaft and we're going to put it on the number 1 and number 5 bearing. Next, we're going to take our dial indicator and measure the runout of the crankshaft.
Now we've mounted our crankshaft on our bearing number 1 and number 5. And now we've also mounted our dial indicator, and we mounted it on the center bearing. And when we spin it, you can see that there is no runout. The dial indicator does not indicate any runout. Now we've mounted our crankshaft on our bearing number 1 and bearing number 5. And we've also mounted our dial indicator, and we've mounted it on the main bearing. And when we spin it, you can see that there is no runout, so that means that our crankshaft is good.
Paulo and Ryan have just finished measuring the block. All the measurements are to manufacturer's specifications. We can now start assembling the block. The first thing in assembling the block is the camshaft. While we're putting it in, we got to be careful not to damage the bearings.
Yeah, I'm going to put this special assembly lube on it so we don't scrape anything when we're going in.
The camshaft is now in the block.
Next, we're going to install the crankshaft. Before we do that, we have to apply lubrication to the main bearings.
Now we're going to drop the crankshaft into the bearing saddle.
Alright, again we install assembly lube before installing the caps. Next we're going to install the main bearing caps. They are numbered 1 through 5 and have arrows that have to be pointing towards the front of the engine.
We're going to tighten down the main cap bearings in 3 stages. First to 85 foot-pounds, second to 95 foot-pounds, and the third and final step, 112 foot-pounds.
And now I'm going to torque them in a diagonal pattern from the middle out. And there we go.
Alright, as you can see, I can spin the crankshaft freely, which means everything was torqued correctly.
Hey, I'm Pat Cochran, and today we'll be installing pistons into our Ford 351 Windsor project.
When installing the pistons, you have to make sure that the gaps are opposite of each other to reduce blow-by.
You want to make sure the piston's well oiled and that this notch right here is facing the front of the engine.
Now we're ready to install the piston, and these hoses here are for protecting the crankshaft bearing.
So Sean's going to tap the piston into the cylinder, and I'm going to guide the connecting rod onto the crankshaft down here.
Now that we've installed the piston, we're going to apply assembly lube onto the connecting rod cap and torque it down to 40 foot-pounds.
We installed all the pistons, so we're now complete with the lower assembly.
Hi, I'm Nick.
I'm Keith. We'll be assembling the cylinder heads for the 351 Windsor project. Alright, first thing we're going to do is measure the valve guide clearance with a dial indicator. Now how we're going to do is measure the clearance by moving the valve back and forth. It's within specs.
Next, we're going to show how to lap in the valves. It's going to make an airtight seal between the valves and the cylinder head. We're going to take this valve paste, it's like liquid sandpaper. We're going to put it between the valve face and the seat. Take the suction stick. Next, we're going to install the valve springs on the cylinder head. Next, we're going to install the valve guides. Then we're going to compress the spring and install the keepers.
Well, my name is David Russo, and this is Keith Rudinski. Today we are going to be installing the timing chain and gears on our 351 Windsor Ford small block.
Alright, the first thing we're going to do is line up the two dots to set the valve timing. There's one dot and there's another.
Now we are going to remove the Cam Sprocket so we can install the chain onto the Crankshaft sprocket in this Cam Sprocket.
What? I said that's trying to text my mom. He said your mom. No, I didn't. You're acting like you belong with them. Shot the filming.
Okay. Now, as you can see, the timing marks are lined up, so this engine is successfully timed in the correct manner, and the timing chain is nice and tight. Hello, my name is David Russo.
And I'm Keith Reneski.
This time, we are going to be putting our cylinder head on our 351 Ford Windsor small block project.
Alright, now we're going to bolt the cylinder head in 3 stages. 85, 95, and 105 torque. Alright, so now I'm going to do the final torque, which is 105. How I do it is by diagonal on each bolt.
Alright, so Keith has finished the long block and we're now going to put in the valve train, which is composed of the lifters, the rockers, and the push rods.
We're now going to preload the lifters by setting the rockers to 20 foot-pounds.
Alright, so we're making a gasket for our oil pump using a ball peen hammer. All you're going to do is hold the gasket down, you're just going to tap on the inside, and eventually it's just going to cut right through the gasket paper.
We are now going to install our distributor into our 351 Windsor project. We are going to do that by rotating the crankshaft to the 0 timing mark on the damper pulley and with both rockers at rest. Now that we're here, we are going to rotate 180 degrees so it is on the compression stroke. Done. We now have the engine top dead center on the #1 cylinder. We are now going to drop the distributor down all the way, installing the distributor hold down so that our distributor will not move and will be facing the #1 wire on the cap.
Good. Okay, nobody move.
Stop touching me.
Welcome to the class of 2015 Automotive Senior Project. This year they built a 351 Windsor Ford motor. Say your name?
David Krause.
Pat Cochran.
Keith Reneski.
Mike Pelgrim.
David Russo. Sean Dodge.
Nick D'Souza.
Scott Kessel. I thought I was Sean Dodge. Mr. Kessel.
Cut!
I think we need to review.
Don't worry, you're going to cut. Okay.